to Singular Merge, a show committed to pushing valuable news in technology. My name is Adam Richman. I'm co-hosting with Federico Gutierrez, and today's guest is Vishal Dhiman, and we'll be talking about product management, big data, and artificial intelligence. So welcome to the show, Vishal. It's great to see you.
Hello, Vishal.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Adam.
Hey, absolutely. I think this will be a really good show today. So maybe just get started and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into your current role, about your history.
Sure. So my name is Vishal, and I'm actually a software engineer by profession. I did engineering for 10 plus years. My last job was at BNY Mellon as a software architect. And then I wanted to kind of go into more business sides. I wanted to explore a little bit myself. So did an MBA at Carnegie Mellon. And then from there, I kind of found my path to become a product manager. So I've been a PM for about 5 years now.
Very cool.
Yeah. Nice.
And could you talk a little bit about that process of moving from a software developer to like a product manager, and like how difficult was that for you? What were some of the hurdles you had to overcome?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So my first manager in my first job told me that software engineers, he told me this in the interview itself, that software engineers do not make really good product managers, or the transition is hard. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be interesting. So yes, I actually, and his word, I still remember. And I still hold that true. There is a bit of a what we call transition, which is very hard. The reason is, as an engineer, you are a problem solver. You're an analytical thinker. As a product manager, you're the problem definer.
Okay.
So, right, as an engineer, like, okay, you know how coding works. You know for loops, you know n squared complexity, NP complete, right? And as soon as a problem comes to your mind, it is very natural, if you put engineering hats on, that this is not solvable or this is not, right? So getting out of that mindset takes a little bit of training, because the job of a product manager is to think from user's perspective, define the problem. And that takes priority over anything else. And at the end of the day, how I solved it is what I keep telling myself, look, I don't have to code this. I just have to tell them this is what
It's not my problem.
It's not my problem. So let them come back to me and tell me that this is not going to be hard. And genuinely that has served. I mean, it's easier said than done, because initially I struggled with that. But over time, it's gotten better. And it really helps if you never open the code. So for the products I work for, one of the rules I have is don't open the code. Because the day I open it, I can understand it. And then all of a sudden, I'll start solving it myself.
Yeah. You stop presenting through problems and just start worrying about how to fix them. Yep.
So tell us about your current job, where you are and what stands out about the company.
Sure. So I'm a product manager at Vertica. And I don't know if either of you know about Vertica, but Vertica is a big data company. So Vertica makes a product called Vertica Database, or as we call it, data warehouse. The difference between a warehouse and a database is the size of the database. So Vertica is a terabyte and a petabyte scale database.
Okay.
Vertica has been in business for 17 plus years. So it's a mature product. My job as a product manager and at Vertica is, my official title is Ease of Use and Automation Product Manager. So all the tooling, all the GUIs, all the admin tools and all the command lines and everything, anything that can make users' life easy, I have to get involved there. So that's what I do. And one cool tidbit about Vertica is that it's a pretty popular database. Almost everybody, if you're in US, probably you somehow Vertica is involved in your life. You just don't know it. And I'll give an example. Uber uses Vertica. Every time you look for a search price or something, there's some magic they do in Vertica to calculate some search pricing, and you can find out in blogs about it. I myself want to learn how to do that. So one of the popular sayings at my company is, you may not know of Vertica, but Vertica knows you.
And you said, and
That's
you
pretty neat.
mentioned that like your user base or your title is to help the automation and
Mhm.
and facilitate the easy use of your products for your users. And your
Mhm.
users are developers, so I'm sure that it helps that you had that developer experience prior as well.
Yes, my users are Vertica database administrators primarily, though that is changing over time. As with the proliferation of GUI-based administration tasks, I see more and more like engineering team, business analysts, and recently data scientists using, trying to manage all of this stuff. So, I think DB admins is a if I have to guess, I think it's the pay stubs, the financials, and everything in a company. It adds in such a way, and the speed that data's requirements and analytic requirements are increasing in corporations. It's not matching up, so we don't have enough talent in the industry to keep up with all the data that we are generating. So for that reason, our tools, our GUIs have to be smart enough that it can cater to everybody.
Really cool.
It's to be really flexible, I suppose. So if we go to generic terms, we always have a couple questions for everybody we invite. One of them is, what type of impact are you hoping to have in the world through technology?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a loaded question.
How are you going to be remembered, Vishal?
Sure. Um, I truly believe that technology should make our lives easy. And really, there are fundamentally so many problems in the world, right? So big problems like, poverty, inequality, wars. And I think long term, disease is another one. Long term, I think technology can be used to solve a lot of it. It does solve it. Like, think about the proliferation of smartphones and data access, and third world countries, and people getting empowered and learning languages. Since Singular has an office in Pittsburgh, one of the Pittsburgh started Duolingo is now one of the premier things that is teaching what do you call English language, and really making it easy for learning a second language. So these kind of impacts are really amazing to technology. So from my work, my career, I want to bring technology to the masses, uh, directly or indirectly. Want to make an impact. At Vertica, we pride ourselves in being very one of the fastest and the most advanced analytics engine you can think of. And so, giving the ability to users to really use data and really drive good decisions. For example, we're working with the federal government and things like that about, like crops, yields, whatnot. But so a lot of people use this analytics to improve like yields and whatnot. So we have been very helpful with that, and I love that impact.
Nice. I mean, technology can definitely reach out to everybody. So it's a really nice
Yeah.
point of view.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a few things already that you kind of like went through, and usually we ask this to people that are still in a technical role, and you shifted to as a PM. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be interesting. Throughout the career, what non-technical concepts did you learn about related to industry or teams themselves?
Yeah, I think overall, I think uh, in technology overall, I've noticed, like, personally, I think soft skills play a huge role in building teams, working, being successful. Especially, it's super important to bring it in technology teams. When I was an engineer, I mean, when I did my computer science degree at UMass Amherst, right, we were not emphasized. Like, I took one communications class about the engineering and everything. So nobody teaches you. Like, in the end of the world, you'll be sitting in like complex business meetings, and you have to explain technical concepts to business people, and being able to bridge that gap is very important. I mean, as you want to grow in your career, learning that part is very important. Like, learning to give good analogies, trying to explain things in real world technical terms and into real world terms is very important. Then secondly, also, almost always you'll never be a sole individual contributor, right? You have to be a part of a team. And being part of a team means, it's like football or soccer, right? If you don't work together, you're not going to win in enough times. So, learning those soft skills have been super, super, important.
You kind of mentioned before, I'm pretty sure the answer to our following questions is going to be yes, because you already said it. We were wondering like how biased you became coming from a software engineer type of role. So I guess, the follow-up would be, would you say also the opposite? Like, do you have examples of when it actually helped and when you felt like you were really biased and couldn't do it, or how you overcame that?
Sure. So your question is two parts: how to avoid bias and when does it actually help.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tackle the second part for how does it actually help. Being an ex-engineer helps build rapport with other engineers. I can speak the language if really needed be. So if any push comes to shove, the way I threaten the engineers is, don't make me open code because I can do this. You give me a Bitbucket or a GitHub account, I will go and I will open the code. I can understand it, right? Don't make me do it. Don't give me the access. The day I get access, I will be too tempted. So that's how I do it. Yeah. But so it helps to build a rapport, right? Being an engineer, you understand their world, understand their frustrations, try to clarify things ahead of time, try to anticipate what kind of questions engineer would have, try to write good user stories is what I try to get to, right? I mean, I always think like, okay, if I was implementing it, what would I need to know to actually implement this? So I try to give a little bit of voice and opinions and things like that. So that helps. The first part of the question was to how to avoid bias. That's a tricky one. Definitely you get better over time. To be honest, when I started, I kind of sucked. Looking back, I think I sucked at it to begin with, but you improve it, right? So as a PM, there are two things you have to work with, right? There is your opinions. If I ask you an opinion about any product, an iPhone, right, or a car, right, everybody has opinions. You like this, you don't
Mm-hmm.
like it. You hate Android, you love Android, you love iPhone, all this stuff, right? Opinions are just that. Then there are facts. So you have to train your mind to listen to facts. How do you define facts? Look at data. So you have to become very, very data driven. Like I'll give you an example. In my company, I'm managing this GUI tool. I get this opinions from QA, engineering. There's too much white space in this. I have to scroll too much. There are too many buttons. One guy wants to convert this page to multiple pages. One guy's because it's, I have to scroll too much. One person wants to say there are too many clicks, put them into one page. It's opinions, right? It's not facts,
Mm-hmm.
right? How would you define this, right? So you have to look at the data, like how are users actually frustrated by this? Do you have a data supporting do you have any evidence that people exit on this page? So you can look at exit pages, you can look at bounce rates, look at this evidence around that and actually make your decisions, right? As a PM, everybody comes and gives your opinions. What you do is, you can listen to all of them and then say, okay, let's see if I can, I can use data to, make my decisions. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Oftentimes you'll be like surprised what data tells you.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it's one of those things that you definitely have to grow into.
Mm-hmm.
Just like just imagining any type of role, you're there and you want to be nice and you want to be able to listen to everyone, but at the end of the day, you're the guy who has to understand the product from the heart, from the core, and you got to know which to filter out. So
Yep.
I imagine it's something that's definitely an acquired skill.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Train your mind.
Definitely. So moving on a little bit, Vishal, I want to give you a hypothetical. So imagine a scenario in which you're starting on a new team as a product manager. How do you gain the trust of your developers? I know you spoke a little bit about the rapport that you can kind of build just with your developer background, but what about from the product side?
So yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Whenever you join, I at least now get this feeling like, engineers who have been there, especially mature engineers in the sense like who have been in a company for many, many years, they tend to be like, Yeah, this is another guy who's going to tell me what to do, but I already know what I need to do, right? Kind of thing, right? That's very natural human behavior, right? Because you've been there and been there and done that kind of thing, right? So um, to get around that, and besides the repo building, I try to bring evidence, data, facts, voice of the user. Sometimes, I talk to a lot of users, I record a lot of them, then I'll try to, you know, so one of the cool tools I found is, you can convert like speech to text nowadays. So you would see the speech of the whole conversation I had with the customers. I'd build a word cloud out of that. So I would use, like, I would ask questions. What do you think of my product right now? They'll be using words like cluttered, complicated, frustration. If that's what the words highlight that, then you can bring those data, which is what I call evidence, right? That's the evidence. So to build rapport with the engineers, really, they really appreciate that, giving examples, giving them data, and really bringing that, like, to that meetings, and to the team, that, hey, the work you're doing is this, and this is causing this to the customer, and if we do this or do that, no, this will improve. People love it, or they change my life kind of statements. So either it's building data, is building like word clouds, building like feelings from customers, bringing that kind of information to this team is very, very important. And I've always noticed engineers appreciate that.
Yeah, I think a lot of engineers, especially at a big data company, will be pretty data driven themselves. So
Yep.
makes sense that they listen to the fact. And